No, ma'am.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
I shall not give any more entry. Let me start the class. So we have discussed equality and inequality constraint to be considered in economic operation of power plants. We shall be concentrated on the economic load distribution only, not the unit commitment part. So equality stock constraint means generation should be equal to load plus loss. No more admission of in class. So inequality constraint is the power generation should be within the specified limit. So the every generation has minimum limit, minimum generation and maximum generation specified. So whatever be the generation calculated by numerical methods, that should be within that. Otherwise, the calculation is wrong. It is not matching with the technicality of the generating stations. So these two constraints you should take care of. There are other constraints also that has not been included here. These are most simplified and most important constraint of power plants. Those two we have considered here. Now next is
Ma'am, ma'am,
yes, yes.
ma'am, can you please explain again why power should have some limiting value? I mean, lower limit. If we have no load, then why power can't be zero?
Mm-hmm. Why there is
Yes,
some P minimum?
yes, ma'am. If suppose if we have no power connected, no load connected, then we
That
can
means
have power zero, no?
that means there is no generation.
Yeah.
That means that generation not in operation.
Oh,
Okay, and this is the issue when the generation generator is in operation. Obviously, when there is one generator in the plant, but that is not in operation, then that generation is zero. But that not does not means that that generator is participating in the economic load distribution and it is participating with zero contribution. That is both the things are not same. Could you follow me?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, but in academic problems, sometimes it is if it is not mentioned any lower value, you may consider that as a zero. But in actual case, there should be minimum value. That means to make the generation in operation, to make the and that is profitable, there should be some minimum value of generation for that particular generator. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
So, and obviously, when the generator is not in operation, then generation is zero. Then what will be the condition of economic operation of the generators? Now here the heading we note that economic operation of thermal generating units neglecting transmission line loss. That means we have not considered any hydel power station here or nuclear power station. Actually this fuel cost curve whatever we have considered, that is for thermal power generation. So if we want to apply that one for the hydel power generation or gas turbine plants or for nuclear power generation, obviously there is scope, but then the formulation of cost function will be different. Okay, depending on the nature of working of that particular plant. For example, for hydel power plant, we must consider cost as cost of water. So actually, water has no cost, but due to the maintenance of reservoir, if there be any water spillage, if there be any restriction in water usage, that will come in cost consideration. Okay. Anyway, that is not in your syllabus. In your syllabus, only the economic generation schedule using the thermal power plant. Now, thermal power plant neglecting transmission line loss. That means we are assuming there is no line loss in the system. If there be line loss in the system, then those line loss will be the function of generations that we are not considering here. So this is the simplified formulation of economic operation. So economic operation is only possible when summation of all running cost, summation of running cost of all the generators present in a power plant is minimum. So say here there are n number of generators p1, p2, pi. This is ith generator. Similarly up to nth generator, which in altogether is catering a load p load. Then cost of generation means cost of generation of p1 plus cost of generation of pi up to pn. So summation of all those costs, that means overall running cost of that plant should be zero, should be minimum, sorry. Then total running cost, obviously C1, C2, C3 up to Cn. That means summation of I to or n, summation over I. So this is the total running cost. So this cost should be minimum for economic operation. Then what is constant? What is the condition of operation? Summation of generation. There is something wrong here. There will be so first is the summation of cost should be minimum, so it must calculate what is the cost function there. Next is what is the constant function, equality constant. Summation of generation should be equal to total load. Now we may write both the thing in the one part. So summation of minus of summation of this plus p load equal to 0. Instead of 0 here I have written 5. Why? Because this condition is called constant equation that we used in optimization problem to formulate the constraint function. Constant function is written in such a way that the variables should be negative there. So here our aim is to find out PIs so that minimum cost can be incurred for this, but to cater this particular load. So with this equation we may write as P load minus summation of Pi equal to 0, or minus summation of Pi plus P load equal to 0. But that, so we shall equate the constant equation as right hand side equal to 0. Then we write that as a function. So actually the thing is like that. This is actually equal to 0, obviously. Then this function we are defining as the constant function and giving the name as phi, as we give a function name as f in that way. Could you follow me? We have to formulate the constant equation in this way to apply it in any optimization problem. This is the method of optimization, one method of optimization you may say. In that case, you have to formulate the constant equation in such a way that your desired variable should come in negative form. Otherwise, it will be cancelled out. We will see in later. So, desired variable here we want to calculate, that is all PI, all generation we want to know that what will be the generation of each plant, each unit, so that this payload can be catered as well as cost will be minimum. So for that reason, this will be the constraint function. This is the limitation of the problem, and for to make this limitation to a function, to convert it in a function, we should make the right hand side 0. So right hand side 0 means payload minus summation of pi equal to 0, or summation of payload summation of pi minus payload equal to 0. We may do any one of them, but to apply it in optimization problem, we always make pi minus. That's why minus of summation of pi plus payload equal to phi. Phi means here a function. We are defining this one as a function. So at optimized condition, this phi should be equal to 0. Could you follow me?
Yes, ma'am.
Then we use one method that is called Lagrangian. There is a Lagrangian use of Lagrangian function that is used to optimize a thing. So Lagrangian function is derived from the objective function and the constant function. To develop this Lagrangian function, we need objective function. What is the meaning of objective function? Objective function means the function that you want to minimize. So here this cost, summation of cost we want to minimize. So actually each cost, say C1 is a function of P1, C2 is a function of P2, because these are actually related, depend on that power generation of that particular unit. So total this cost function is the function of all generation P1, P2 up to Pn. So in that way, this is the objective function. Actually, we want to minimize this. This is our first aim. With the condition that summation of generation must be equal to load. So this is our constraint. This is our condition. So for that reason, from there, Lagrangian function is obtained as that objective function plus some multiplier is called Lagrangian multiplier multiplied by constraint function will be the Lagrangian function. So Lagrangian function is a derived function that we derived from the objective function and the constraint function. So to apply Lagrangian function, we need constraint function and objective function. And that constraint function will be multiplied by the Lagrangian multiplier to get the Lagrangian function. Why we need Lagrangian function? To optimize the C. So Lagrangian function, from this Lagrangian function, we can calculate the optimal value of the generation. That first partial derivative of this Lagrangian function with respect to every independent variable will be 0. That will give you the necessary condition for minimum value of the objective function. That means if we derive here our all the independent variables are which one? P1, P2, P3, all those are independent variable on which the cost function depends. So if we make the first derivative of this Lagrangian function one at a time by every independent function variable, that is del L by del P1, like this del L by del P1 plus del L by del Pi. In this way, all independent first derivative should be equal to 0. Then we get the necessary condition of the optimization. This is one method of optimization that is called Kuhn-Thocker condition of optimality. Could you follow me? This is a method. I have only described the method. The reason behind this is the mathematical process I could not explain at this moment. Could you follow me the method? Could you follow the method? Could you follow the method? Otherwise, I shall describe. Otherwise, I shall proceed.
Yes, ma'am. It's clear.
So here, so actually, if you think about Lagrangian function, to form Lagrangian function, we need our objective function and constant function. Our objective function is the total cost. So C, that we have seen here. This C is our objective function. So that is known. So here, this is your objective function. Now, constant function is the condition of optimization, equality constant, not the non-equality. So equality constant is summation of generation must be equal to summation of load. So from there we have derived the constant function. The variable should be in negative form. That I shall discuss later why. Then some minus summation of Pi plus P load should be equal to phi. So in that way we may form the Lagrangian function. Now phi we may put the value of phi here for our case. But this lambda L equal to objective function plus Lagrangian multiplier into the constant equation, that is applicable to any optimization problem. It may be to minimize loss in a power electronic circuit. It may be a minimize loss in a power transmission system. It may have that extent also. Here we are using to minimize the cost of a thermal power plant. Now, how we can get the condition of optimality? How we can get the minimum cost? What is the condition of minimum cost? In that case, we must derive this. We may take first derivative of this Lagrangian function with respect to the independent variable. So, what are the independent variable in our case? All the generation P1, P2, P3, and we should make all those partial derivatives equal to 0. So, we may write for ith power plant. For ith power plant, this dl by dpi will be 0. So dci, actually this C is C1, C2, C3 up to Cn. Now you see, for ith power plant, this C1 is not a function of Pi, C2 not, C3 not, only Ci is the function of Pi. So if you make partial derivative of C with respect to Pi, only the dCi by dPi will come, other will be 0 because all other independent of Pi. So for that case, this first portion dC by dPi will be converted to simply dCi by dPi. Plus for the second part, it will be lambda into minus Pi and P load is constant, so 0. Now if you see, if we make the opposite, plus P load minus summation of Pi, in that case every time this lambda will come negative. Then in that case this sign should come positive. Then the sense will be opposite. So to make right hand side positive, always we take variable as negative within the constraint function. Then obviously lambda should be this one. And if you just reverse this constant function, then in that case there will be a negative sign before lambda, nothing more than that. So this is the condition of economic operation. So this is applicable for every unit. So similarly dC1 by dP1 will be equal to lambda, dC2 by dP2 will be equal to lambda. That means all these dC1 by dP1, dC2 by dP2, dC3 by dP3, all will be equal to lambda. So this is the condition of economic operation of n number of a power plant having n number of units. Understood? Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
So here, actually I have written here for only ith plant, then lambda equal to dCi by dPi. So the question 4 depicts necessary condition of existence of a minimum cost of thermal power generation. That means cost minimization of thermal units in a no loss power system is achieved. That means there is no loss in the system. So what is dCi by dPi actually? Incremental fuel cost. So actually incremental fuel cost of all the generators will be equal, and it will be equal to the Lagrangian multiplier. So this is the condition of the economic operation. So obviously from there, how we can calculate the economic generation? So dC1 by dP1, dC2 by dP2 all will be equal to lambda. So from there, how many, there are n number of units, then so there will be how many equations? N number of equations. Now for in this case, how many variables are there, you have to know. That is P1, you have to calculate P1, P2 up to n. That means n number of generation you have to calculate. Along with that, you have to calculate lambda also. Lambda is also unknown. So there are n plus 1 number of unknown variables. So we need n plus 1 number of equations. Equating all incremental fuel cost equal to lambda, we get n number of equation. From equation 5, we can get n number of equation. And there is another equation, summation of generation equal to load. So from there, combining equation 5 and 6, we can get total n plus 1 number of equations. So for n plus 1 number of equations, we can solve the n plus 1 number of variables. So we can get the solution, we can get the economic operation. Now, if any generation cross the limit, say you have calculated all this generation. Now you have seen that one generation has crossed the limit. That means that generation is not possible. So in that case, the generator which has crossed the limit, that generation will be fixed at that limit, and remaining load will be again economically distributed among the generators. For example, I am showing you one example. Say it is later. If any let's read it right now. If any generator crosses its limits, then that generation will be fixed to that limit that it has crossed. In that case, load for economic scheduling should be modified by subtracting fixed input of the exempted generator. Then equation 5, 6 are to be resolved excepting that generator. Say we have 3 generators. We have to schedule a P load among these generators. I am writing PL. Now by solving this equation 5 and 6, you have got P1 less than P min. P2 in between P max, P min, P3 also in between limits. Then the next step will be you have to fix P1 to P min. Then the load, remaining load, that means the new load P load dash will be PL minus P in. Dash should be distributed in between generator 2 and 3. And you have to find out new economic generation, say P2 dash and P3 dash. Now it does not mean P3 dash, P2 dash will always be again within the limit. If it is within limit, then economic generation will be possible. If it is not within the limit, then economic generation will not be possible. In that way, we shall proceed. Could you follow how to cater the limit cross if the limit of generation is crossed for a particular generator? Could you follow? Could you follow me?
Yes, ma'am.
Then next, let us see some example. First, say this is the cost function of 2 unit, and the load of that plant is 450 megawatt. Then let us find out economic load schedule and incremental fuel cost. Then what will be the economic load schedule? For economic load schedule, incremental fuel cost of the two plants should be equal. So for first plant, make the first derivative with respect to P1. Then 2P1 will be 2 and 0.005 P1 square will be 0.01 P1. In that way, you can get the incremental fuel cost of first unit. Then for the second unit, similarly. Then next is the summation of load is 450. So P1 plus P2 is 450. So we have three equations and three unknown, P1, P2 and lambda. So actually solving these three, we can get P1, P2 and we can get lambda also. So lambda will be this one. So in this way, we can get the economic operation. Could you follow this?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
hope. Then next is, say incremental cost is given. We have no need to calculate it anymore.
Ma'am,
Find, yes,
in the previous example, we have got P1 and P2. So, ma'am, how to check the limiting case means whether it is
limit is
distributed.
limit is not given. That means it is the limit is infinite. If limit is not given, then you assume that they are within limit. Understood?
Okay.
It will be mentioned. If when limit is required to consider, it will be given. Say here incremental fuel, I shall show you one example. Limit incremental fuel cost of two plants are given. Find economic distribution of a load 115 megawatt, right? Also calculate saving in fuel cost due to this economic distribution instead of equal distribution among these two units. Then incremental fuel cost is given, total load is given. So we can calculate P1, P2 as well as IFC. So P1, P2 we can calculate. Now if there be equal distribution of load, then this if there be equal then IFC we can also calculate. If there be equal distribution of load, then 115 divided by 2, then this one. Then you have we have derived already. Incremental fuel cost is del C del P. That means del C is IFC integration of IFC dP. Then initial cost was the equal, if there be equal sharing, then the loading will should be 57.5. For economic load, it is 50. Now let us see what is the change in cost. So let us integrate from 57.5 to 50. For the first unit, we are saying that is minus 289. If you can remember the fuel cost curve, then this is the slope of the curve, this was del C. change in cost. Now in this case, it has come negative. That means with increase in cost, it is negative, right? So it is noting, it is indicating that there is a reduction in cost, right? Okay, wait for a minute. Okay, so there will be a reduction in cost because it is negative. Could you follow me why there is reduction in cost? How I am interpreting in that? Hello. Could you follow me?
Yes, ma'am.
1 minute. Then in the same way, if we do it for the next case, for next unit. So here initially, what will be changed? If we change from 57.5 megawatt equal loading to 65, then you see it is coming to 79 positive. That means there will be an increment in cost. Actually, I have told you in first class, I have shown the cost function in this way. But it is not actually because cost function actually goes in this way. It is an nth order polynomial. That's why in practical case you will get this scenario. If we want to interpret using this graph, we can never interpret this thing. Then what is the total change in fuel cost? Obviously minus 289.5 plus this, so negative. So negative sign obviously indicate in reduction is cost because we are expecting by integration positive means there will be increment in cost. So there is a reduction in cost. So in this way, from the incremental fuel cost also we may assess whether there is a reduction in cost or the increment in cost instead of getting the actual fuel cost curve. So this is one example for that. Could you follow me? Could you follow me?
Yes, ma'am.
So next is the example with a limit. Here, this is example from the last semester, I think. A load of 250 megawatt generation is to be shared among 3 generators. Rating is this and this. So rating means these are the maximum power generation, minimum is not given. So minimum in that case, we shall assume as 0. In some cases, minimums are also given. Then determine the optimal distribution of load assuming operating cost this and this. So obviously, at first, we shall assume that all the generators are within limit. So incremental fuel cost of all generators will be same. So from there, we shall get two equations. Along with that, summation of all generations are 250. From there, we shall get this generation. You do it yourself. So then we shall get this solution. Now you see PG3 is 126, whereas limit is the 120. So the PG3, the third unit has crossed its generation limit. So it is not possible to generate. So in that case, this generation is not possible. In that case, the generation will be fixed to 120, and the remaining load means total load was 250, so the remaining load will be 250 minus 120, so 130. So that 130 megawatt will be distributed between one unit 1 and 2. So it has been distributed between 1 and 2, and you have seen it is, we have got first unit as 50, second unit as 80. So in that case, both are within the maximum limit. So this is the economic generation. So in this case, you must note one more thing, that here incremental, when we have used the economic generation schedule using without generation limit, then lambda was 0.352. Then when one generator has to cross the limit, then lambda is 0.36. It has increased. Okay. Now JPG3 is with 120. That means lambda is 0.34. So incremental fuel cost of all the generators are not same. The generators which are participating in economic load distribution, for them only the economic incremental fuel costs are same. For others, they are somewhat less, somewhat different. Now for this generator 3, it would be economical if its incremental fuel cost be 0.352, but now it is 0.34. So the unit 3 is not operating at economic load, at economically. Could you follow me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's all for today. Today I am not starting any new chapter. This is up to economic operation. I hope you have some semester exam question paper, or you collect them or from any book. You try to solve the problem of economic generation schedule with limit. If you can solve the economic generation schedule with limit, then you can do for without limit also. You must practice this part. From the next class, I shall start the other chapter, that is the compensation in power system. That is totally different thing. So in between them, if you have any doubt, I have told that by this Monday you must tell me if you have any doubt in the previous class notes. By next week, by next day, you must tell me if you have any doubt in next class. If you have any doubt in previous class, you can intimate in your email. Then I may guess how much doubt is there, so that I may clear that one in next class. You must revise your class note by next class for this, for the part I have already taught. Could you follow me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's all for today. Thank you.
Ma'am,
Hmm?
any book which can be downloaded easily in PDF format for this question?
Any power system book, I think it will be it will work. The books in your syllabus, but in PDF which is available, I do not know. Whatever book written in your syllabus, that you can, any book from there you can follow. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
And it is better if you can follow the semester questions, because in semester question in every year some problem on economic operation comes, and that will be sufficient for practice. But this year it is problematic. That's why I am telling you to go through the books for to solve the problem. Please leave the meeting.
Thank you, ma'am.